Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around my friends when they're hanging out with my harasser, stalker? Am I the a-hole for firing the lady who got cheated on? Am I the a-hole for accepting a drink in a gay club? Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around my friends when they're hanging out with my harasser, stalker? Backstory: 2 years ago, I kissed this boy on the cheek as a thank you for buying me a drink and candy to make me feel better right after I got dumped. Ever since then, he's been stalking and harassing me, even though I have a boyfriend and have turned him down multiple times. He's made my boyfriend and I both extremely uncomfortable. The harasser called me his soulmate and love of his life, knowing I have a boyfriend, to his close friends, and I never knew he was referring to me as this until my close friend showed me screenshots and a whole ass letter. He's also done other things I will not be mentioning because it brings in bad memories. I'm in a small friend group of 4 people, not including me. Today, I was standing with 2 of them outside of one of my classes when the third person walked out of the class with my harasser. I quickly walked away and didn't say anything. By the way, they all know what he did, but last week he apologized to all of them for everything he had done and they forgave him. Meanwhile, he never apologized to me. Even if he did, I would never accept it. A few texted me after the issue and I explained to them I was very uncomfortable being around my harasser since he had been stalking and harassing me for over 2 years. It made me feel stressed and anxious and I told them that. They said it's only for 10 minutes before the class starts. And I told them any number of minutes I'm around him and they're being friendly with him makes it feel like they're invalidating my experience. They told me to suck it up for 10 minutes so we can all go back to everything being okay. I told them I wasn't going to put myself in an uncomfortable position just to hang out with them. They then told me to text them when I stopped being an unreasonable a-hole, then kicked me from the group chat. I feel like at this point, I should just suck it up so I don't lose my friends. I don't want to lose them since they've been there for me through a lot. Am I the a-hole here?
Not only that, but they're very clearly choosing OPS Stalker over OP. They basically just kicked her out of the friend group because she didn't want to hang out with them while her stalker was there. Choosing to interact with him at all should have been a deal breaker, but the fact they refused to make no effort to even hang out with OP and Stalker separately is disgusting. Didn't throw Stalker out of the group for being a predator, but will throw OP out for not wanting to all hang out together. OP deserves so much better, and I hope they find some real friends. NTA. They are not your friends. Friends do not dismiss your lived negative experience to make room for their own convenience. Those people do not respect you. Block them all and cut them out of your life. If you set the precedent that it's okay for them to tell you how to feel about things you went through just because you're afraid of losing them, you'll end up letting people walk all over your feelings your whole life every time you're afraid of losing someone. If they were really your friends, they would have told your harasser when he apologized to them that the apology wasn't theirs to receive or accept because you're the one he hurt and made feel uncomfortable. You didn't have a friendship with them, you had an arrangement of convenience. That's why they ditched you the moment it got inconvenient for them. You're better off without them, you'll make real friends, just give yourself time. Edit. Another reason to stay away from them is that your harasser might just be using them as an access point to get closer to you, and they're letting him do it. As to why they're letting him, you'll never know. Just stay away from them all for your own safety. NTA and go straight to the school counselor, college or HS, and talk to them. Campuses don't want their students attacked and raped, and he's heading that way. Also, he's relying on you being quiet and avoiding him. Don't make a huge ass fuss the next time. I have told you for 4 years now to leave me alone, and you were, again, outside my house, again, watching me. How stupid are you? And just f***ing ranted him, publicly, for every single thing he does. Make sure everyone knows what kind of person he is. Any and every time he causes any problem, make it super public. He'll start avoiding you. And do not be kind. Rip him a new one every time. 2. call him stupid, call him the dumbest piece of slime you've seen, tell him you'd rather date what you scraped off your shoe, and every time also mention some incident of stalking and harassment. You'll be able to take control and he'll have to back off unless he wants more and more dirty laundry aired. And ditch the friends. In a few years one of them will likely be stalked and harassed, and you'll have them coming back begging for forgiveness, now that they get it, but until then, they aren't worth being around. NTA, but your friends are. These people are not friends. Friends protect you and stand up for you. They feel for you, not tell you to suck it up. You are absolutely right to stay away from the stalker. You need to find new friends. I know, that sucks and is hard, but you deserve to have people who support and love you. Not people that side with the stalker making your life hell for over 2 years. Never, ever do anything or be near anyone that makes you feel uncomfortable. That feeling you feel, that is your primal instinct telling you that something is wrong with the situation or that person. This feeling can save your life, and please, if you haven't let an adult know about this behavior from this boy already, tell someone. This is unacceptable and dangerous behavior.
Am I the a-hole for firing the lady who got cheated on? I manage a small mom and pop's restaurant for a family friend, and we had a husband and wife working for us for a few years. Things were great and they were good employees until the wife they started fighting each other. The wife said he cheated on her, not with another employee, thank God. And I had to remind them that they had to stay professional if they were going to remain working here. They also began the divorce process while working with each other. I honestly thought they would leave the restaurant since I could not work with someone I was fighting with at home. But they both promised it wouldn't get in the middle of work. They don't work directly together. She is a waitress and he's a line cook, so I thought that since they won't interact too much, it would still be okay. Well, they both broke that promise because they began fighting during the workday and their friends began taking sides, and it was getting pretty toxic. I talked with the owners, but they were friends with this couple. It's a small town, so everyone knows everyone else, and wanted to let them work itself out. Finally, it got too far when she dumped waiting food that she was supposed to be serving a customer, saying it was bad. The head chef is supposed to determine that, and I know she only did it because her ex was the one who put it out for her to get and dumped it in the trash in front of him. He then got into a screaming match with her and everyone had to pull them apart. I called them in and told them it was their last warning and I was firing the next person who did something unprofessional. The next day, she started yelling at him and according to everyone, he ignored her. And so I told her I could lay her off so she could collect unemployment or I would have to fire her. She started crying and yelling at me for protecting the a-hole. She did leave about. Now I'm getting a lot of backlash from friends. Not really any of my staff because they were really sick of the drama and just happy for it to be quiet. Since they all know her, I'm being painted as the villain for taking the side of the guy who they said cheated. I don't know who cheated on who really, since they both said the other cheated, but I don't think it's really my business. But am I the a-hole for firing her?
Though this kinda happened at my job last, except it actually wasn't the boss's fault. I work at a factory staffed almost entirely by temps. The factory had a main temp service called Maddie, but decided to drop them and go with a new temp service called Hero. All the temps were told they could either stay with Maddie and find work at a different job or switch to Hero and keep working at the factory. Most decided to switch to Hero and Maddie hated that. A month before the switch went official, Maddie moved out their office and Hero took over the office. Except that Friday, lots of people weren't getting paid. We are paid every Friday, barring holidays, every week. The money hits our accounts around 1 to 4 a.m. Friday morning. So everyone was pissed. They went to Hero who told them that until the month was out, they were still Maddie's employees and Maddie was in charge of their payroll. Hero did call Maddie, though who told them that they just didn't get the time sheets. Hero sent them again, and Maddie promised payment next Friday. Well, next Friday, no money. Now these people are missing 80 plus hours. People are up in arms. Hero, the supervisors, plant managers, and even the high-ups are crawling up Maddie's butt, demanding why they aren't paying these people. Maddie keeps saying that they aren't getting those timesheets, but everyone else is screaming yes we did. Multiple times. You even said you got them. You need to pay these people. My own friend went 3 weeks without pay, and he only got the money because he happened to mention it to his supervisor, who pulled out his phone, called up Maddie, and reamed them out demanding they pay my friend immediately. Maddie eventually caved to the screaming and probably threats of lawsuits and paid everyone. But my factory will never work with them. In fact, the only company that is willing to work with them is another factory that is constantly. The assumption that anyone who says they don't have any money is lying is rife where I live. So is the assumption that unemployment doesn't exist. Socially, people get angry and don't believe me when I say I'm unemployed. I only tell them because it's the only thing anyone asks when you meet them. How do you get your money? I once attended a meeting that was supposed to provide support for people with personality disorders. The person in charge spent most of the time informing us that everyone has a job and everyone is able to maintain it because everyone knows how to be polite at work, yes, even those with personality disorders. De-shaming and othering me for struggling with something that's difficult for me didn't exactly make me feel welcome. At the next meeting one person said she'd been a prostitute, which led to a discussion about how everyone with my disorder is also a prostitute and loves it, both of which were news to me. This guy must be pretty privileged to assume everyone has extra money in their bank. Some landlords or other essential companies do not care if you don't have the money because your boss's dad is in the hospital and they have a wonky pay system. So of course she would be desperate. Maybe she was late because she was having a panic attack about her money and is worrying about having to pay a late fee on everything. Plus the boss can leave his dad for the day and give out the payments to his employers and go back to the hospital. 20 or so years ago I worked for a place that paid us once a month. It was what it was. You learn how to budget for that. However, there were several times when checks were late. I don't mean by a day or two, I mean a week or more. Once it was 3 weeks late. I don't recall if at the time I was still living with my parents or living on my own, but I do recall at one point telling them if I don't get paid, I can't afford to come into work. Period. Nowadays, I don't let that kind of thing go. I remind my boss about payroll every other week and tell him, jokingly, maybe, if my money ain't in my account on Friday morning, I'm not working until it is. Always get my pay on time. Ever seen the movie Friday? Just call me Big Worm. Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. Management is not always only staff management, it's sometimes doing everything the owner doesn't feel like doing himself, ordering and receiving stuff for the business, small accountant duties, taking care of everything related to the business operations, etc., etc. It's also just a way of saying that OP has both more power and responsibilities than whoever is below.
Am I the a-hole for accepting a drink in a gay club? So, my GF 23 female and I 27 female went for a night out last weekend in Liverpool. We were in a gay club dancing. She dances pretty intensely, so we often make friends as we dance with other people. These two Irish guys ended up in our dancing circle. We danced for a while. Then I went to the bar to get a drink. As I was ordering, one of the guys appeared next to me and asked what I was getting. I said, I'm on MD, so I'm not planning to get drunk. I'm just getting a water. The guy then insisted on paying for a drink by talking over me to the bartender. We went back to the dance floor. Later, I went back to the bar to get my GF a drink. The guy followed me again and insisted on paying for it and getting me one too. I said, you really don't need to, we're fine. He said he wanted to as he was having fun, so we went back to the dance floor. Later, his friend came up with a load of Jaegers for everyone. I said I was fine, thanks, but he just shoved it in my hand so I didn't want to be rude. I noticed my GF was a bit more drunk. It's my responsibility to make sure she stays at a nice level, so I went to get her water from the bar. I was also tipsy, and combining MD and alcohol isn't the best, so I was getting myself a water too. The Jaeger guy then appeared and asked if I wanted a drink. I said no, I'm not looking to get drunk. I'm happy and high. I like to stay coherent on a night out, much safer. He was trying to get my GF a drink, but I explained to him that I was trying to make sure she sobers up a little as she wants to carry on having a nice night and not be sick. He pushed in front and tried to pay for the waters, which were free, and couldn't understand the bar guy explaining that. I gave the water to my GF and told her not to accept drinks as it was getting weird. She agreed and said she didn't want any more drinks. They then kept going to the bar and bringing us drinks, and I kept saying, "It's very nice of you, but we're fine, thank you." We were dancing and I gave my GF a kiss. The Jaeger bomb guy came up to me and started yelling at me and saying I'd broken his friend's heart because he didn't know I was gay. I was so confused because we were in a gay club. He said I was horrible for accepting drinks and using him. I explained that I did refuse them until they were shoved in my face. My GF and I carried on dancing and one of the shot girls came over and asked if we wanted Jaegers. We declined. But Jaeger bomb guy bought about 20. He tried to give us some and I said we didn't want any, thank you. He kept coming back and trying to make my GF drink them. She was getting really frustrated because he was so drunk and he would come back every 5 seconds and push them onto her, spilling half of them all over her. We ended up leaving because he would not stop. We were wrong for not leaving initially when the guys were insisting on giving us drinks. We just wanted to dance and make friends and have fun. Does accepting a drink enter you into a contract?
I really thought this was gonna end with the GF getting mad at her for drinking, and I was gonna say absolutely she's TA, but somehow the GF didn't mind her getting drunk, despite promising not to. She's wondering if she's an odd random guys for accepting drinks and being gay. If you're 27 and don't know how to say no to drink in a club, then stay home. Jesus Christ, that's so dangerous. I was expecting a story about a straight guy who gets free drinks all night by letting gay guys jump to conclusions. That guy would be an asshole, in my book. And actually, OOP is also an asshole in my book, for different reasons. Mainly the dermatism. And also how long the whole thing dragged on. How many rounds of Jaegers did this guy buy for people who didn't want them? How did the bar staff not notice and tell him to knock it off? How did they want to stick around for so long after the vibe was ruined by Jaeger Chad? Eck. So many questions. Real or not, the dermatism in this one infuriates me. Yeah, sorry, no, I don't accept it, but the men were unkind. They were, that's a different story. But if you're 27, don't want to drink, have good reasons not to drink, you don't accept drinks anyway, because you can't stand the thought that random strangers might not think of you as flawlessly lovely. If this was a 17-year-old person character, sure, but not a 27. So some guy is so drunk he's harassing women at a bar and spilling drinks on them, and the bartender is just like, sure, you can have 20 fucking gigerbums. Sure. I'm from Liverpool and also queer. That guy would have been thrown out of every gay club on Stanley Street the second he started harassing women.